All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan. One of the biggest conundrums of multiculturalism is how to deal with those people who leave their home countries behind and move to Western nations, yet somehow are always ungrateful and not even happy to be there. I mean, slogans like love the country you live in or live in the country you love, or if you don't like it here, then go back, have become really, really popular. But still, for some reason, these people are having this cognitive dissonance where they've left their home country behind for whatever reason and moved to Western countries that have given them amazing lifestyles, amazing opportunities, lifted their quality of life. But still, they try to turn it into the country that they left behind. It's so counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense. And it's happening all across the board in every single Western country. We've seen them in Britain, like this guy, and it's only one tiny example of hundreds of these videos that I've already played to you. Look at this guy.
Of Birmingham will not tolerate the disrespect of our Prophet, peace be upon him, and there will be outcomes from your actions. You will have repercussions for your actions. We have been trained from birth that we must defend the honor of our Prophet, and we will lay our life on the line.
This is a very primitive, barbaric, Pakistani behavior. You wouldn't expect someone who was born and raised in England to behave like this. This problem of Islamic extremism, religious extremism, is not just confined to British Muslims. Look at this Australian Muslim threatening an Australian woman that he will kill her if she insults his prophet. Have a listen.
Go jump on the treadmill.
I'm just having him on my panel so people can see what these people act like. That's all. Go.
Well done, lady. You've actually exposed him. Look at him. Look at him. He's telling her that she needs to jump on a treadmill. Bro, look at his face. This is a hybrid human. Look at him. That's a big.
Don't care. You insult my prophet, and you insult my prophet. You insult my prophet. You are executed. You get this when you execute the prophet.
When you execute the prophet? You mean when you insult the prophet? What a dumb cousin marriages.
Take that. I don't apologize for that. You're disgracing the honor of our prophet.
So, I don't know. He sounds Arab, maybe Lebanese. I don't know. He looks semi-retarded. So, the West has imported these people in their millions. And remigration is the only solution. These people are not fit to be living in the West. And not only do they bring all types of social problems to the West, I'm sorry to say this, they actually make it really ugly as well. Look at this. Just the mere aesthetics of your cities go down the drain. Look at them. Just look at them. What is this? Just ugly. This is not England. I know most of you white people would probably never say that in front of the world because you might say, oh, it sounds a bit racist. But don't worry, I'll do it for you. I have brown privilege that I will use to its maximum. Look at this. Look at these clothes. What are they wearing? It's just so hideous. It's absolutely disgusting. Just like you can make fun of these people. Look at them. Look at this. Look how hideous this is. Look at this new parade. Look at them. They're hideous. They're all hideous. I shouldn't go full screen on this because hideous. They're all hideous. I don't think I can show most of it. It's not like they are Victoria's Secret models. In that case, I would say, okay, you know what? I don't mind this nude protest, but look at them. Absolutely freaking hideous. And I'm sure you would have no problem in calling them out because they're all mostly white. Isn't that amazing that you as a white person can speak about the terrible aesthetics of your own community, but if you did the same for another cultural group, you will suddenly become racist. That's what we call brown privilege, which I have. I'm on your side, so don't worry. I'll do the dirty work for you. Anyway, but this video is not about this. We've already seen that. I've shown you so many examples of these people uglifying these once beautiful cities. But let's just go back to the original point that I made at the start of the video. Wouldn't it be amazing if all these people who live in the West, yet they are unhappy and want to change it to Afghanistan, Pakistan, or whatever country they came from, just packed up their bags and went back to the country they actually like? Guess what? This concept of remigration is actually not that difficult to achieve. Before I play you the main video, have a listen to this Muslim who's saying that British Muslims should leave Britain because Britain is becoming insufferable for Muslims to live.
You're a Muslim, you have no other option but to leave the UK and move to a Muslim country now, because your sisters, your mother, your wife, she isn't safe when she's going outside. Like if your mother, your sister, your wife is wearing the hijab, she wears niqab, she wears abaya, there is a risk she will get attacked. You can't be with her always.
I haven't heard of a single physical attack on a Muslim woman because of her abaya or burqa or niqab. Yes, I have seen some videos where some idiots are making derogatory remarks towards Muslim women, which is obviously condemnable and atrocious and should never happen, and no one should ever condone it. But that's what I've seen. What he's saying is barely true, barely true. But hey, if you feel that way, then I think Muslims should listen to this guy.
And imagine feeling uncomfortable every single time someone leaves the house. Like you cannot live comfortably knowing your family isn't safe. 5 years ago, it was like, come on, you should try to leave the UK, make hijrah, Muslim lands. 3 years ago, you should try. Now, it's like, you need to. It's so amazing that he has practically shown you in the last 5 years how things have become worse and worse. And only Allah knows how bad it's actually going to become. Like, you guys need to start planning for your get out.
I actually agree with him. It is going to get bad for Muslims in the West. I genuinely believe in that. It's not just because I want that to happen. Look, I don't want Britain to become Islamistan. I just don't want it. I don't think that Islam should gain any more influence in the West than it already has. Even now, it has too much influence. I just don't want it. Call that whatever you want. I don't care. There's nothing wrong with that. Islam does not belong in the West. Islam is not compatible with the West. Have a look at my videos. 137,000 British-born Muslim girls have gone through FGM. This is a problem that belongs exclusively to Islam. 300 Muslim girls have been honor killed. 300, all Muslims. Again, another problem that belongs exclusively to Islam. Tens of thousands of forced marriages, acid attacks. A big chunk of these problems belong only to Islam. A huge percentage, and I'm talking about 90% of these crimes, happen to Muslims. These values are not compatible with the West. I'm sorry. In the West, people like to wear short clothes, gamble, drink, call it degeneracy or whatever you want to call it. But it's none of your business. The Westerners are okay with that. We don't want your primitive, barbaric, backward, medieval practices here in the West. Whether that's Australia or Britain or Canada, we don't want that here. No other culture feels as entitled as Muslims do. Yes, the Chinese have their Chinese New Year. Hindus have Diwali and Holi, whatnot. They also come under extreme criticism. But at the same time, they're not mowing people down with their cars. We're not putting safety bollards because of aggressive Hindus or aggressive Buddhists. We're not having Hindu or Buddhist terrorist attacks in Australia or Britain. Most of the problems that we experience in multiculturalism come from one particular culture. So what do we do with that? Now, let me play you this main video. What this guy is saying is actually already happening in France. Nearly 40,000 French Muslims have already left France. 40,000. I was shocked when I heard this number. So let me play you this video. So you also believe that there is some light at the end of the tunnel. We might be able to save Britain.
An important researcher, a few actually French researchers, published a book a year ago, and they documented that phenomenon in which, according to which, 10,000 families, at least 10,000 families, Muslim families, left the country as a result of the toxic Islamophobic fear in the entire country. So we're talking about families, so it means at least 30, 40,000 people leaving because they can't find a job because they're wearing hijab, or they can't find a job because they wear a beard, or if it's not necessarily related to their professional activities, just because they want to make sure that their children are going to grow up as Muslims, and as such they have to leave the country in order to find another space in which educational institutions are not operating against their system of beliefs.
I do have to stop and interrupt because that's the whole point of commentary, because I have to make these points, because I know some of you actually get upset with me for interrupting too much. So you see what is making these people voluntarily leave France? Simple things. like banning the burqa. It's not compatible with French values. Sorry, but not sorry. We don't want to look at ninja warriors thinking that a woman, a living, breathing woman, is subjected to wear bin bags in a 35-degree hot day. It's not compatible with any Western country's values. So we're not going to tolerate it, and we're not going to accommodate it. If you don't like it, you can go. So we don't have to deal with it. Yes, that's hardly a comfort for that woman who, instead of leaving her husband, who's making her wear this bin bag or her religion, sorry, if you can't adapt to French values, then you have to go. So what should Anglo countries do? Ban the burqa. Ban halal food. We do not want to torture animals. Every study shows that the way Muslims slaughter animals is barbaric, is inhumane, it's cruelty, it's torture for those animals, especially complex animals like cows. Poor cows suffer for up to 3 minutes when they slice their necks in the Islamic way. So that's what we need to do in Britain as well. And Britain is the test case. Britain is the mother of all of our Anglo countries. And it's a test case, it's the battleground. So Britain needs to do this.
Yeah, just tell me, what is it like to be a Muslim in France?
I think the best way to understand the Muslim experience in France is to quickly go through the pieces of legislation and the policies that are applied in here. First of all, hijab is completely banned from any public school, and it's been the case since 2004. Niqab is totally banned from public square. You just can't wear it. Not just in public schools, but actually even outside, anywhere in the public space.
That's actually true. As bad as France is, like I've seen some terrible non-French people doing terrible things in the streets of Paris, which is filthy and ugly. I don't recall ever seeing a Muslim woman in the niqab, the full face covering where you can't see anything, you can just see the eyes. I don't think I ever saw that. As hideous as Paris was, there was one less hideous thing in Paris, which was the niqab.
Niqab is completely banned. On top of that, we are facing a policy entitled systematic obstruction, which aims at essentially subduing the entire Muslim civil society. What are we concretely talking about? At least 1,000 Muslim organizations were closed down by the state since February 2018.
1,000 Muslim organizations. You know what these Muslim organizations are? Do you know what kind of conversations they are having in those Muslim organizations? Let me show you. See, that's why these interruptions are important, to give you better context. This is the kind of conversations they are having in these organizations.
Prophet ﷺ said, do not befriend anyone except a good believer, and do not share your food with anyone except a pious person. So we don't have this wala and this friendship with kuffar. We don't hang out with kuffar. You know, let's go down and play some pool, Bob. You know, let's play some Xbox together. You're my friend. There's no wala with the kuffar. You know, I remember.
We hate the kuffar, basically. So this guy is an imam, but he's not sitting in a mosque. He's sitting in his office. He runs a Muslim advocacy organization in Britain. So those are the kind of organizations that France shut down. 1,000 of them. That's what we need to do in Britain as well. There's a blueprint model there. Just follow France. I am shocked. 40,000 Muslims voluntarily left. And again, these are those Muslims who want to do really hardcore Islamic things. They want to wear a niqab, a burqa. They probably have a problem with you if they go to work and their co-worker is eating a ham sandwich. So these are hardcore ones, not some lipstick Muslims. Those ones are going to be trickier to get rid of, but they're not as problematic as well. I think they will get in line once we control these hardcore Muslims, once we make them go away.
At least 30,000 Muslim organizations were harassed by the administration through unexpected raids and controls organized by local authorities.
And they would have been asked to give us the receipts. Where are you getting your funding from? That's what they mean by harassment. And make no mistakes, all of these organizations get their fundings from rich Muslim countries. Most Muslim organizations in Germany get their fundings from Turkey. Most Muslim organizations in Britain get their fundings from Saudi Arabia. And when they fund you, then they also tell you to do certain things for them. That's why we have a sudden increase of Salafism in Britain. Even though Pakistanis were not Salafis to begin with. Pakistanis were Deobandis and Barelvis, which is not as extreme as Salafi Islam. But in the 80s and the 90s, the Saudis started pumping in money in Pakistan, in Britain, and even in America as well to some extent through these Muslim organizations. They were actually exporting their brand of Islam. So 30,000 Muslim organizations getting harassed in France, that's a good thing. It's not harassment. They're just trying to find out who is your sponsor, who's your financier, what do they want in return? Show us the receipts. That's a good thing. And if they can't give you the receipts, then shut them down. Just like those other 1,000 Muslim organizations did.
By organizations, by Muslim organizations, I do not exclusively mean mosques or Islamic schools. I actually mean any Muslim-run business, for example. Any restaurant or any business run by Muslim could be targeted by that policy. And on top of that, as a result of that same act of systematic obstruction, at least 55 million euros were seized by the administration and lost by the Muslim community. Homeschooling is essentially banned since 2021.
That's a very good thing. Homeschooling should be banned, and faith schools should be banned too, which hasn't happened in France yet. We need to do that in Britain as well.
So let's put ourselves into the shoes of a Muslim parent. So you can't homeschool your child, which was an option that was heavily favored by a lot of Muslim parents in the country. So you can't do that anymore. If you have some money, you might opt for an Islamic private school, for example. But in the entire...
You shouldn't have Islamic private schools. I'll tell you this story. It's very important. One of my best friends from Pakistan, he moved to Australia in 2017. And when he came here, he brought his kids as well. And he said, oh, I want to send my kids to an Islamic school. And I obviously said, why would you want to do that if you love Islam so much? Why the hell did you come to a non-Islamic country? Anyway, his wife wore a hijab. So she said, no, we're going to send our kids to an Islamic school. So they took their kids to an Islamic school in Epping in Melbourne. And when they got there, they said, oh boy, we're not sending our kids to this Islamic school. Because these kids went to really nice, westernized, what we call English medium schools in Pakistan. But they were concerned that these normal Australian schools would be somewhat different. So we'll send them to Islamic schools. But Islamic schools, burqas, hijabs, and niqabs, and these really loose clothes, and they were like, what the hell is this? So they didn't end up sending them there. They ended up sending them to normal schools. That's how bad these Islamic schools are. So I don't know why France has actually allowed them. We should definitely not allow Islamic schools in Britain or in Australia. And no, just because we have Christian schools in a Christian country, and by the way, they're not really that extreme. Some of the best schools are Christian schools. We don't have to balance the equation here. Just because we have Christian schools doesn't mean that we have to have Muslim schools as well. I don't think the kind of stuff that they teach in Islamic schools, they teach that in Christian schools. There's no equivalency. Again, if you don't like it, go back.
Country, we have maybe 90 of those schools, and some of those schools are either being closed down right now or at least harassed by the state through the policy that I've described a few minutes ago, the systematic obstruction. But you have the money. And even if you have the money, you have to take a chance and accept the idea that your child at some point might experience a police raid organized by the state. Okay, fine. If you don't have the money, or you just don't want your child to go through that traumatic experience, then you actually have to send them through the public educational system from 3 years onwards. And in that system, not only hijab is banned, but prayers as well. No one is praying in any public schools in France. It's completely...
Why does your 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7-year-old child has to pray in school? I remember there was an issue in Britain last year where Katherine Birbalsingh, I think her name is, she is the principal of one of the best schools in Britain. She took a stand. She said, nope, no prayers allowed. And then Muslims harassed her, attacked her, intimidated her. But that amazing woman, she didn't back down. And we need to apply those policies across the board. We're headed that way. It's gonna happen, guys. I know these woke politicians were always pussyfooting around these multicultural issues. the temperature of the public is rising. They are not going to put up with this anymore. They have created these islands of strangers all across these Western countries, and now they're paying the price. That's why I see so many angry comments by people. I think there was a comment just yesterday underneath one of my videos where this woman said that I'm 32-year-old woman. Every person in my neighborhood has moved out, and foreigners from other countries, other cultures have moved in. I feel so harassed and scared that I don't even feel like going out. Just imagine that. That must be so heartbreaking and so depressing. I told the lady, I said, look, sell it and get out while you can, because we need to concentrate our powers. Okay? Now there is some momentum. We are moving forward. And I know for a fact that you're going to reclaim your country back. But don't be a needless casualty by choosing to remain in a suburb or in a town where you are too scared to even go out. Move to a white neighborhood, live there, and concentrate your power.
We've seen cases in years in which the teachers actually called social services, or at times the police, when they saw some children, some Muslim children, practicing prayer in their facilities. Macron a few years ago said the struggle against so-called separatism and Islamism is a generational struggle, and that's one of the reasons why he decided to ban homeschooling for Muslims.
I didn't know Macron was such a champ. I know a lot of people who follow me are conservatives or on the right of the spectrum, and they hate Macron. You got to like Macron for that.
Because he doesn't want Islam to be shared to the next generation. Of course, we're facing a massive repression, a massive form of persecution, which essentially means that life for activists is extremely hard. We've seen cases of Muslim leaders being prosecuted because they uttered the word intifada during a pro-Palestinian speech. I'm referring here to Elias Dimzalel, who's one of the key leaders of the Muslim community and a founder of Urgence Palestine, the main pro-Palestinian umbrella group in the entire country. So the space is shrinking.
So was he jailed? I hope he was jailed. And yes, I don't think I've seen pro-Palestine protests in Paris, the kind of protests that we see on every other weekend in London. I know Germany doesn't take any hostages. I have seen plenty of videos where the German police goes full berserk on these pro-Pali, pro-Intifada, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free crowd. They go full crazy on them. I like that. But I haven't seen anything in Paris. They must have been discouraged a lot. Well done. Macron has done well. I'm sorry, I don't like Macron.
But despite everything, we've seen the rise of new Muslim voices since 2021. And despite the pressure, despite the repression and the cooptation by some leftist parties, we've seen, despite everything, in autonomous voices, autonomous Muslim voices are still allowed and maintain and continue to inject their narratives in the public domain. It's of course extremely hard, and we're going through phases in which we might be raided by the police, in which some of us actually were raided by the police or placed under house arrest. That happened last year, for example, during the Olympics.
Yeah, because they didn't want any terrorist attack. That's pretty simple. Oh, Jesus.
So, of course, the challenges are extremely intense, and I would argue quite unprecedented in the West at large.
You've laid out all the problems, all the issues. Is there anything practical we can do?
I would argue for those who are living in the country. Of course, not everyone can leave. Not everyone is going to have that option. So
we should be able to do some GoFundMe campaigns for these people. If you really want to leave, surrender your passport or renounce your citizenship, and we'll help you buy a ticket.
So we really need to continue, essentially, to strengthen our resolve and strengthen those who are actively engaged in the fight for our fundamental rights. I would argue that there's no other route than activism, than engaging in the public sphere in order to secure our rights, or at least support those who are engaged in the struggle. For those who are living outside of France, of course, just because of a very simple condition, the language barrier can be a big obstacle, and it's quite hard to just document yourself on what's happening in France. So maybe following 5 Pillars, following Cage, following organizations on the ground that are documenting what's happening in France is quite key, because not only are you going to express solidarity with a Muslim community that is in dire need for that solidarity. But on top of that, you will easily realize that what's currently happening in France might at some point become your own situation in either the UK, Canada, the US, or so on and so forth. So just just using that angle, making sure that you are on top of the sharpest Islamophobic updates is, I think, quite key, because it's giving you enough information to prepare yourself for the fights you'll have to fight in the future.
So, see, guys, there is light at the end of the tunnel. If we tweak our laws a little bit, and as I've always said, change the culture. Change the culture. Be proud of your native history, identity, culture, values. Be proud of it. Don't need to apologize for it. If you see anything like this at your workplace, be aggressive about it. Protest. Rip this notice off. And maybe heat up your crispy bacon in it or a ham sandwich in it. Like this. I would insert my Asian roast pork meal for reheating. Absolutely do that. Say, no, look at this. Look at the entitlement. Due to religious reasons, this microwave is for halal food only. Fuck off. Out. No. We are not going to tolerate this, little Abdul. Bring your own microwave, or better, resign. Go and live in Saudi Arabia or the UAE. Actually, no, don't even go there, because they're becoming westernized too. Go to Afghanistan. Yeah, Afghanistan is perfect for you. Sell your house in London. You'll have what? I don't know, 200,000-300,000 pounds, which will be a lot of money for you in Afghanistan. You can put your daughters in whatever bin bag you want to put them in. You can make your boy grow a beard as long as you want. You can marry him off to whichever cousin of his you want to marry him off to. Do all of that. Nobody would make any snide remarks towards your activities. But while you're living here, we've had enough. We do not tolerate this bullshit of yours. So, slogans like these are only going to become more popular. Love the country you live in, or live in the country you love.